Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I used a couple of different products from the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. The first is a stamp set called Be the Star. It's got some really cool, cute, kind of sketchy star stamps in it and some sentiments. And then I also have the Stampin' Up! Star framelits, which match up with all these stamps. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull out this star that I'm going to use, and I'm going to stamp it onto some Ranger watercolor paper. And I'm using some black VersaFine pigment ink so that I can clear emboss it. And I always emboss when I'm going to be watercoloring because it helps me stay in the lines. Alright, so then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out first. That way if I mess it up I wouldn't have wasted all that coloring. So I hold it in place with some Eclipse masking tape and run it through the Sizzix. And it comes out nice and even that way. Alright, so to color this, I'm going to be using one Inktense pencil in the color Violet and an aqua painter. So I slowed this down to real time. So this is actually me doing it. And what I'm going to do is I kind of wanted the star to go in like up and down on these lines. So I kind of made the small short areas the darker areas. Now I test my aqua painter before I put it on my paper, and I start in the white area and I move to the color area. And then you can go back out into the white area to pull out some color. That way if you start in the dark, then you end up pulling too much color out and it kind of all starts to blend together. So you can squeeze the pen to get more water, and that'll blend the color a little bit more. Now I'm just going to keep moving around here, and I'm using very light pressure with my pencil. If you use heavy pressure with the pencil, then the color kind of gets into the paper and it's harder to blend. So use a pretty light hand when you're doing this. Now as you can see, I have a tissue off to the side, and when I get too much color on my brush, I wipe it off and start over. And I do that quite a bit. And you can always go back, like see I saw that there was just not enough blending right there at the bottom, so I went back and just added a little bit of water, and that helped pull the purple out a little. Now it started to pill up just a little bit, and you have to be careful with this Ranger watercolor paper because it does pill up a little sooner than the Strathmore watercolor paper, but it's thicker, so I kind of like that for small pieces. Alright, so I'm just going to work my way around the star using the same technique. Now as I went around, I kind of realized I didn't do them evenly, so I'm going to go another round, and what I've done here is I've picked up some color from the pencil directly with the aqua painter. So I just touch my brush to the pencil. Wait till I do that again. Here we go. Touch it right to the pencil, and you get a really thick, vibrant, concentrated amount of color. And you have to be careful, of course. But if your brush is pretty wet, it shouldn't be a big deal. Anyway, so I'm just going around here, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I keep going around and around trying to make everything exactly even on all points. So I'm just going to speed this up here. As you can see, I kind of decided to pull the color up a little bit to the ends of the points. Alright, next step is I took a Squeeze Lemonade distress marker, and I'm going to color every other one of these stripes. And I tell you, after a while, this really is a little hard on your eyes. But I kind of like the alternating. I think it looks good. And by the way, I'm using the wide tip just to make it a little faster. Alright, finally I'm going to take my Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, and I explained in my blog post that this pen, or actually it's a marker, I think they call it a marker, is actually more of a shimmer than a glitter. So it's really pretty when you put it on, and it really doesn't take away from the color. Like, I don't think that it covered any of the color, which is kind of nice. It is supposed to be clear, and it doesn't come out clumpy at all. It's very smooth. I did buy some other colors of this Wink of Stella, but I didn't really like them that much. I think maybe I just didn't buy the right colors, but the clear just works great, and I think it's a good practical purchase. Okay, so this is a Copic liner marker in 0.3, and I'm going to draw my lines about 1/4 of an inch in from each side, and I'm using Copic because I'm going to be watercoloring and I don't want my lines to run. So I'm going to draw these lines all the way up to the end, but I'm not going to do the last few because I want to make sure I end on a purple yellow. Okay, so I'm just using the same, pull the color from the pencil and color in these boxes, and I'm going to color every other one till I get to the very end. And now I can figure out how many purple and how many yellow I'm going to need. So I make sure it comes out even. And then I'll just finish that up. And because this is Neenah cardstock, you want to do your aqua painter coloring pretty quickly so that it doesn't dry too fast, because it's not watercolor paper and it doesn't blend well. Anyway, I took that squeeze of lemonade and just freehanded some lines so that it matched my star. Now this is my Martha Stewart scoreboard, which I keep handy on my desk. It's kind of small, so it's nice. And I'm going to cut off 3/8 of an inch off that front flap. Here, I slowed it down so you can see. So you're going to have it a little bit shorter in the front. And then I've pre-cut these 2 strips of black cardstock. One is 3/8 of an inch, which matches the cut I made on the front flap. And I'm going to secure those with some Tombow Mono Multi Glue. And the other one is 1/2 inch, so that I got a little bit of leeway there with the fold, so that when I close it, it's still going to be 3/8 of an inch that I see, but I make sure it's fully covered by covering just a tad more on the inside. Alright, next step is to put those little stars on there. So I'm going to kind of figure out where I'm going to place them, and I'll use some Versamark ink. And first I'm going to put the embossing buddy on there to make sure that I remove some static. And then I'm just going to sort of freehand where I'm going to put these. I'm going to cover them with some black sparkle embossing powder by Ranger. And then I'll heat it. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to take my stipple brush, and the glitter seems to really stick to the paper, and the embossing buddy doesn't do a whole lot with the glitter portion of it, but because it's glitter and it's not going to melt with my heat tool, I can go ahead and I can wipe it off with my brush afterward. Okay, I'm going to prepare my Stamp-A-Majig so that I get my sentiment lined up in the corner there. And I'm using some black VersaFine ink, and I figured, well, I might as well just go ahead and clear emboss that so it doesn't smudge and I can set it quickly. And I always heat the back of my paper, and that really helps with the warping. Alright, now I'm going to take my panel here and I'm going to adhere it to my folded piece of cardstock. And now I'll take some dimensionals, just some foam adhesive, and put my star on there. And I'm going to hang it off the edge. And that's it. Kind of a sparkly, fun card today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.